There are some schools in Baringo which are marooned by floods. In Budalangi, there are schools which have been marooned by floods. When we talk about opening schools, are there children who are more equal than others? Because, really, what are the infrastructural strategies that have been put in place? Schools have been thrown off by floods. Zingine zimemezwa na maji. They even I was hearing that the only thing the government has given is soap in a place where there's no water.
There's no water.
Equality in education. When you're talking about opening schools, we're opening for who? Is it only those guys who can afford?
When I was growing up, public schools were our only option. And we all went to public schools. In fact, those who went to private schools were few and far between. Maybe there were expatriates. Maybe there were people who are going to have to go back to their country, so they needed a system other than the Kenyan system. Today, private schools abound. Why? I went to school in the public school space. And my children, if I'm honest, are in a private school. Why? When I would love them to have gone through everything I went through. To answer your question about equality, all you have to do is go to northern Kenya to understand that you have one group of Kenyans that are less equal than the other Kenyans. And this is exactly the same in education. So even when we are saying all kids back to school, even before COVID, even before floods are drowning schools in Baringo and Budalangi, there was always inequality in education. What do you call it when you have 90 children in a classroom with one teacher? One underpaid teacher. That is inequality in education. Why should there be schools where some children are 25 or 30 in a class, or even in some cases 15 to 20 in a class, even in some cases 10 to 15? And by the way, as you go lower in number, the more expensive that school becomes. There is inequality in education, and this is across the board in this country.
And Lucia, I heard Soshan speaking, and I was really taken aback because he said that it does not matter even if children are 300 in a class, there's no problem. When did we start saying bora elimu si elimu bora? Where does it? Because they're saying now, you go, it doesn't matter just as long as you just go to school. That's what is important. Does that statement really make sense?
It doesn't. And coming from Sosion, I'm shook. Anyways. I don't know when it became Bora Elimu na si Elimu Bora, because Gerald, I'm also a product of public schools, pure product of public schools. Going through the schooling system, I had water in school. I had electricity in school. You know, I had all the amenities that I needed. I was given textbooks and exercise books. Schooling for me was actually very fun, you know, other than the vibokos na punishment and all these other things that come with schooling. For me was very fun. Nikiambiwa sahi nirudi shule with the people that I was with in the same environment, I wouldn't hesitate to go back, you know, just as long as watoe exams kwa hiyo equation, I will gladly go back. I don't understand when the public schooling system became so bad. But then the commoditization of education, I think, has made it worse. When we are allowing these private solutions to public problems, and we are opting to go to private schools, taking our children to private schools that are not actually equally regulated with government schools, then that's where the problem comes in. Because at a private school, as she said, if you want your child to be attended to by a teacher in small numbers, given the attention that they really deserve, then you have to pay an exorbitant price. But then you see, here is what doesn't make sense to me. Education is supposed to help the country. So why isn't the country helping the education system in order to bring up people who can sustain the country? And you see, most of our leaders will tell you, oh, I got my degree from Punjab University, from Sijui which university, that are not in the country. They therefore don't give two shits about the education system in the country because they never had to use it. But trust me, if I was to be president tomorrow, I would task my CS of education with one job: make public schools good enough for my children as president to go through the public schooling system. Because trust me, Gerald, as president, I'm not taking my kid to a private school. No, and I'm not getting treated in a private hospital. I want the public systems to be good enough for me as president to use them before I can allow my people to go to those facilities.
I completely agree, and I've even failed in terms of the education bit because my kids are in a private school, and I grapple with it because I say, what has gone wrong? And I don't know if you've had Dr. Wandia Njoya here, but you need to have her on your show one of these days to talk about education. We have really, really fallen for the private solutions to public problems thing here in Kenya. And when you look at the type of school fees we pay, how many shambas can you buy by the end of your child's education? And if you have more than one, if you have two, in my case, I have three, when will I ever afford anything? Although I should not have said I have three. As Kales, we don't count children. You don't count children. You say, sere, sere. However,
In fact, on that note, I need you to add another one.
No. In fact, if I add even 5 more, no, I can't. I think I've passed that age. Now I'm in elder.
You can always try. You never know. Things happen. Things happen in this country.
But on a serious note, we have already failed. Even with health. When you're sick, you look to see what type of insurance you have and you say, will this take me to Nairobi Hospital?
Yeah.
Will this take me to Avenue? Will this take me to Aga Khan? Because we have already understood that if you're going to Kenyatta, either you had absolutely zero option or you are likely to die. Why? When it is the biggest hospital in this region, not just Kenya alone. And we should be pouring. And when you look at the budget and you see how many billions are allocated to Kenyatta Hospital every year, but we are still here paying for insurance so that we can look for our private solutions to public problems. This has to stop. Either they stop taxing us completely and tell us to use our taxes that we usually pay to just survive on our own, or they tax us and provide us the services that we pay for. Yeah.